Okay, good evening. Welcome along. We are just double checking that I'm live because I'm not actually sure that this is working on the channel. So bear with me just to make sure. Yes, we are actually. Everything is working. There's a bit of a delay there. So excuse that bit of a mishap at the beginning. Welcome along. It is, of course, Inspire and Be Inspired, another motivational conversation. In the past few weeks, we've been talking heavily about music, and we're going to talk a little bit about music tonight, but primarily we are discussing lupus. My guest, Miss Joolee B, is going to tell us all about life before the diagnosis, what the diagnosis meant. We're also going to be finding out the challenges to her career and her everyday life. And also, we're going to discuss the optimism at the possibility of new treatments. So, without further ado, let me bring onto the screen my guest this evening, the lovely Joolee B. Looking fantastic. How are you?
Hello, I'm fine, thank you, Andy. Hello, everyone.
Welcome along. So I've just changed a few things while I am talking to you. I am just going to change a little filter because I've gone overboard with my processing. Okay, and so if we let me just allow myself to change how you look at the moment, and then we're going to get straight into this. While I am doing this, let me say to everybody that if they have any questions, any comments, or any remarks that they want to make for Joolee, then please do feel free. And remember that when you're watching the recording as well, we welcome you to leave any comments or anything that springs to mind because we welcome the feedback. Let me just make sure that everything is okay now. And that's fine. I've added a little bit, way too much color to the screen. But we're into the conversation now. We're just talking and we're focusing. So thank you for joining me this evening. I know that you were keen to share your story, keen to share your words. And are you comfortable? Are you at ease? Are you ready to share with everyone?
Yeah, yes, I am ready. Yeah.
Good. That's what I love. So first and foremost, we should explain how we met via the world of music.
Yeah.
A lady from Birmingham, yourself, you would have
Yeah.
heard me on the radio many, many moons ago. And then eventually our paths crossed again over at my event here in Spain. But before then, I would like to find out about Miss Joolee B, life
Yeah.
for Joolee B. And as I did say in the introduction, what life was like before your diagnosis, because you are more than a person with lupus, right? And then we'll come on to discussing lupus. So
Yeah.
tell us about yourself, where you're from, and when you were born, more or less.
So I'm from Birmingham, living in Ladywood. I grew up in Ladywood way back in the day. Um, Went to school, obviously, George Dixon. It was a grammar school before then. But then by the time I went, it was just a comprehensive school. Left with no GCSEs, E's, F's, and G's, because I didn't know that I was dyslexic. And I didn't find that out until when I went to university. So, Joolee B before living life, getting ready to get into my singing career, because I started singing in church
Okay.
and at choir as well with St. John's School in Ladywood. And that was my thing, singing, just enjoying opening my mouth and singing. And I was getting ready to sing professionally in the 90s. So I just left university because I did a course in media and communications, feeling really good about myself because at that time, that's when I found out that I was dyslexic. So that was a really challenging time because in the second year of my course, that's when I was diagnosed. So I was having to catch up with all my work. And I'm not a fan of written work. I hate written work back then, because obviously that was my stumbling block, being dyslexic. And one of my tutors, he actually said to me that I would amount to nothing.
Wow.
So when he said that, I saw that as a challenge, which was, you don't know me. Let's see what happens. So graduated from university, ecstatic because I did it. But in the back of my head, as well as my mind, I could feel like this throbbing pain and I didn't know what it was. So eventually got my full-time job working for the Birmingham Post and Mail in advertising, feeling like a big G doing it, right? I'm going to get mortgage. Because also as well, I wanted to go into properties. I wanted to help people in terms
Okay.
of social housing. So I had this goal, I had this vision to help others. So going back to how I was feeling, I just kept feeling this really frothy headache and I didn't think anything of it.
So
Going to
can
work
we
now.
put a time stamp on this? So 18, 19, 20?
So this would be 2004.
Okay, so okay, well, I was going to say, how old were you? But 2004, okay, no
Yeah.
problem.
We
Yeah,
won't disclose age, but yeah,
yeah.
2004.
Okay,
2004. So late 20s,
okay,
2000.
cool.
Yeah. Just had my daughter as well.
Mm-hmm.
So this is
Okay.
the link as well.
Right. So the throbbing pain in the back of in the head.
Yeah. And went to work, but for some reason I arrived late. And I had no explanation as to why I arrived late at work. And because of that, this kept happening day after day. I got the sack. So with that, I took them to tribunal. I won the case because they weren't supporting me in terms of my dyslexia, as well as not realising I was getting really ill. So with that, decided to go to Ibiza with my partner then.
Mm-hmm.
Went to Ibiza, enjoyed that. But for some strange reason, I glimpsed myself in the mirror one of the nights that we were there. And I noticed that my face was really fat and rosy, and I couldn't understand why I looked like that. Again, didn't think anything of it. Came back to Birmingham, and this throbbing pain now was intensifying in the back of my head. I could actually feel my heart rate just pumping really fast. So I said, you know what, I best take myself to City Hospital, accident and emergency. And I didn't come out. That was it. Did not come out. I noticed that my urine, it had a lot of blood in it. I was what? 9.5 stones, ballooned up to nearly 15 stones.
Wow.
I couldn't get out of bed.
Over what period of time would this have happened?
So left work June, so that would be in June, July. 2 months.
Wow. So from 9.5 stone to 15 stone.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And so you're in a hospital, and none of your friends or family had noticed anything and thought to make any comments or ask you? No.
No, because nobody in my family's ever heard of lupus, let alone me saying I've got lupus. So I'm in hospital now. And before that, I was diagnosed with discoid lupus, which is my skin sensitive to the sun.
Okay.
So prior to that now, I mentioned to them, I have discoid lupus. Check for lupus. Because unfortunately, 1 in 10 people with discoid lupus then get the more serious one, which is one that I have, which is now called lupus nephritis, because it's affecting my kidneys.
Okay.
So anyway, I'm in hospital, test after test, still can't diagnose me. And I'm saying, check my kidneys. It's my kidneys. You need to check my kidneys. Still not checking my kidneys. At this point now, I'm getting really concerned because I'm still passing blood in my urine. There is so much protein also in my urine that it looks like frothy coffee.
Wow.
I'm literally drowning in my own body because I'm still putting on weight and I'm not eating. There's no explanation. So finally, they say, okay, we're going to test your kidneys. Tested my kidneys. And then they came back all serious, telling me there's nothing that we can do. You have lupus nephritis and it's affecting your kidneys.
Okay, so let me stop you there, if I may. I am having some issues seeing if anybody is leaving us any comments or talking to you at the moment. So if anyone is there and they do want to leave any comments for Joolee, do let us know. I just want to make sure that everything is working fine as we progress. I'm sure you won't mind me doing this, Joolee, right?
No.
And then at the same time as me doing that, I want to ask you, please, to
Mhm.
just confirm exactly what lupus is, because I did leave a brief description of it in the description of the video, but just in case, and you haven't had the opportunity to tell your friends exactly what it is and what the consequences of having lupus are.
See, now you just saying that to me just makes me feel so heavy,
Okay.
because it's like having a ton of bricks just weighing down your body,
Mm-hmm.
and no matter what you do to try and keep fit, healthy, nothing works. Lupus basically, it's the body's reaction to fighting itself. So my body's actually attacking itself. And the
Okay.
way how my body is attacking itself is it's attacking my kidneys, my heart, and my lungs.
Okay.
Um,
Thank you,
wow.
Victoria. I've just had the green light that everything is working fine. Thank you very
Oh,
much,
that's my
Victoria.
sister. That's my sister. Wow.
Okay.
You
Well, you
really
say, mate, it was not my intention to make you feel heavy, and as I did say at the beginning, lupus does not define you. So thank you for
no,
thank you for
no.
taking time to dig into that. Okay.
Yeah,
So yeah. So you were diagnosed. So let's go back to the diagnosis then.
yeah. So there's no cure for lupus as well. There's
Okay.
just a lifetime of living on chemotherapy drugs. They use chemotherapy drugs for lupus. It's like bingo. You might win, you might not. It's a case of trying certain drugs that they use for people with cancer. So that's how they treat my lupus. And then
Okay.
I also have steroids as well, has an IV treatment, which just makes me zoom around the house because it's a lot of steroids, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And I live my life of having a lot of blood tests, urine samples, just daily checkup on my body to see what's going on.
Okay. So they have to keep quite a vigilant eye on things because things could
Yeah,
change quite rapidly. So
yeah,
a very quick maths in my head, I'd say 17, 18 years of living with lupus, more or less.
19.
90. Well, I've actually been diagnosed with it. And
Oh, yeah.
there were no signs earlier in life that you had any
The
issues.
only sign that I can link it to was always being anemic and always feeling tired and
Okay.
just having no energy.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way I could link it. And also, as well, at that time, I had just had my daughter as well. And that's when I noticed the changes in me, just feeling extremely tired, not able to get to work on time, and just having no explanation as to why I couldn't do simple chores or get into work. I just had no explanation as to why I couldn't do it.
Okay. Wow. So it's quite deep. And so you say that the many years of going through the treatments, how did that pay to did it affect you mentally with regards to
Oh my,
your drive and your enthusiasm for,
yeah. Because unfortunately for me, because I was complaining about always being in pain, I was having a lot of steroid injections, and they would inject it into my left side of my hip. So in 2008, my left hip was just dying. So I then had to have an operation. And that was an experience I will never forget because to me, I felt like I was locked in the house because I couldn't move, obviously, because I was waiting for my hip to heal. And in terms of my mental health, yes, it did affect me because I didn't have the opportunity at that time to grieve the fact that Joolee B no longer existed. It was this Joolee B where I had to deal with having lupus and having to explain what lupus is to the medical health professions, even though they're qualified, to even try to explain the way how lupus can impact me and how important it is that I get antibiotics. It's been a battle. It's been very frustrating. And at times, I wish that there would have been counselling, there would have been some form of therapy to
Mhm.
help with the adjustment of that.
Okay. Wow. How does it make you feel to sit here and recount those years?
there used to be a lot of loss
Mm-hmm.
because obviously I was in my late 20s. I thought I was going to live my life. I was going to help other people, not just me. I was going to create these like a housing association that would help single parents
Mm-hmm.
to give them that edge, because that's where I come from, a single parent. That's my childhood, my background. And I know the struggles of having one parent there. So for me, I felt a lot of loss because I wasn't able to give in the way that I thought I was going to give. So I had to do a lot of accepting, forgiving, and letting go. Because even at times when I was telling my doctor that it's my kidneys, in terms of my lupus consultant, she wasn't listening to me. And I felt frustration at that she wasn't able to recognize, I know my body, this is what's happening. Intervene before it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at that point of it's too late, that's when they started listening to me. So for me, there was a lot of loss.
Okay. So talking about loss, you mentioned about singing in the church. I know from us talking regularly, there are times that you have trouble breathing, so that would have affected your singing as well. So tell us about that part of your life that you also probably were losing.
Yeah, my goodness. So prior to the really last bad flare-up, which was just before COVID was announced, which was 2019, I just finished performing in choir with Manchester Inspirational Voices. They won the BBC Gospel Awards. Can't remember what year, but I know they won it. And at that point, I was ready to become an artist, to say, right, this is my time to put into practice what I've learned at choir. So when I was diagnosed again with lupus flare-up, because this is what happens on a daily basis, I couldn't speak. I had fluid around my lungs and around my heart, and I couldn't breathe. I just couldn't breathe. I sounded like a frothy frog. That's the only way I could describe the breathing difficulties that I had. Couldn't breathe, couldn't even walk up 2 steps, let alone 2 flights of steps up a hill. Because where I live on a bit of a gradient. I couldn't walk. So every time I had to keep catching taxis or asking my sister to give me lifts or staying in the house. So it's, for me, not being able to breathe, let alone sing, that's where I was like, I've had enough now. This lupus really has to get sorted, because for me not to be able to sing, let alone breathe, it's like you slit my wrist.
Mm-hmm. Or you lost a limb.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not sure of the timeline with regards to you finally being listened to by the medical profession. Where does that fall in line with regards to COVID and the likes?
I can honestly say to you, Andy, the last flare-up, I thought the first flare-up, which was in 2004, was bad, but this one was horrific in terms of not being heard, in terms of they see me as a Black woman, then they see me as a Black angry woman, but it's not. It's my passion for them to hear that if they don't intervene, I know this is not going to work out in my favor.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of anger. And I even told them that you're not listening to me. Why are you not listening to me? Do you feel just because you are the professional that I don't know my body? So there was a lot of clashing of were you listening to me?
And that was during the flare up, the flare, and I think I heard you say that was just before COVID.
Yeah, 2019.
Okay.
And obviously because COVID had kicked in,
mm-hmm.
It was COVID. That was the buzzword. COVID, lupus, cancer, anybody that was having treatment, we were put to the back.
Although you must have been on the vulnerable list.
Oh, yeah. They told me that I needed to have a COVID jab. They told me not to go out. However, when it came to me needing treatment, I was waiting longer than what I normally would have waited.
Okay, so tell us about the treatment then, as time progressed, as you made your own investigations into the best forms of treatment. What did those investigations involve? What did you find? What did you tell the professionals?
Well, I told them, first and foremost, no artificial sugars because they will create a lupus flare up. I also told them that for first intervention to help me is steroids. And then I also told them that giving me, because I had two allergic reactions to two types of drugs, which was one was Belibab and then the other one was rituximab. They didn't work. For some reason, my type of lupus, it's out of the ordinary. The normal treatment that you would use for lupus, which is mycophenolate, basically tablets which suppress the immune system, they don't work for me. It's either steroids and this new treatment that I'm having at the moment. That's the only thing that's really been effective in killing off my B cells, because that's what they have to do. They have to kill off all my B blood cells, if that makes sense.
So how did you get to that point where you realized that treatment was the one, so to speak?
Through going through all the other treatments and having to go through these treatments and for them to see it's not working, even though I was saying before it's not working. Because I was literally, my body was reacting. I was getting rashes on my skin. Excuse me one moment. Rashes on my skin, mouth ulcers in my private area. I was just getting ulcers. I was just having a really bad reaction to my body. And that was always after this treatment. So I knew the treatment wasn't working.
Wow. Okay. So, and then on top of that, we've got COVID to deal with. Did you actually ever get COVID yourself? Were you affected in a bad way by it?
No. However, because my symptoms, because this is another thing with lupus, it mimics other conditions. And because I was saying I have a high temperature, sore throat, they were thinking I had COVID. And at one point, they tried to put me in a COVID unit, and I had to be adamant. If you put me into a have COVID, even though they did the swabs, the COVID test, they did that, it was still a case of, we're going to put you in the COVID ward. And I was having none of it.
I'm losing you a little bit here. Sorry. You were buffering just a touch. I think your internet's okay, isn't it?
Yeah. For once, yeah.
No, everything's fine. So you never got what I think I gleaned from that. You didn't actually get COVID, no, but you had the symptoms of what could have been COVID.
No, that's what they thought. They were just putting everything as COVID.
Okay, so then we titled the video, A New Hope, and you express, as I did say, an optimism at what the future holds for you with regards to this treatment. You seem in fantastic health now. Every time I've seen you, it's very easy to forget that you do have these challenges. I wouldn't say issues, that's a negative word. You have these challenges that you have to overcome. Where are you with regards to all and your physical and mental health at the moment? And I think I seem to have lost you. Right, bear with me, everybody.
Yeah.
We seem to have lost Joolee. Everything looks fine my end, so it's very difficult for me to pinpoint what the issue is. Oh, no, we've lost her.
I'm back.
You're back.
You see?
I've got you. So you were
about my
I was
optimism.
asking, I was saying that obviously seeing you in Spain, seeing you in
Yeah,
Iceland, talking to you
yeah,
on a weekly basis on our coffee mornings, you
yeah,
seem in such high spirits. You have a real zest for life and energy, a confidence which you've outwardly expressed. You know that you are putting all of your work into maintaining that positive mental attitude.
yeah, yeah.
So I started off by asking your optimism at the treatment and where you are down the line with that. So let's talk about that first of all, the treatment and
Yeah.
what it's actually doing for you, and if that is the way forward for the rest of your life now.
Okay, so for the treatment, I think it's more of my attitude and the fact that I've changed um my diet.
Okay.
I've gone more plant-based, and I've noticed as well, obviously because it's inflammatory of the body, having omega-3, it's one of the best omega-3s, not 6 and 9, because they will increase inflammatory. But actually, omega-3 is really good for an inflamed body. And I've done lots of research in terms of what to eat. For example, ginger, avocado, turmeric, onions, just changing my diet and not eating so much meat. I do eat meat, but not like before. I sort
Hmm.
of followed the Mediterranean diet.
Okay, I'm familiar with that.
Well, yeah.
Wonderful. Well, funny you said that. Angela Colossi, good evening. Thank you for commenting. She says, thanks for sharing your story. And she actually shared this before you started to go into this part of your story. She says, did you ever look at nutrition to manage your condition? Her sister was terribly affected in her lungs by her lupus, and since giving up gluten and wheat, she has been avoiding meds. And then she says, sorry, you answered my question. But thank you, Angela, for joining us
Yeah.
and for commenting.
Yeah, and that's why when you talked about the medication, I'm a bit like, well, it's not really the medication, it's the way how I think
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that I've changed my diet. I know food can heal the body.
Mm-hmm.
So I've gone down that route. I even take CBD oil as well, and hemp seeds, which is another good form of omega-3,
Okay.
because it's really good in calming down my body, and it's also good for low mood and depression. The GABA
Okay.
in cannabis,
Mm-hmm.
good for that as well.
Right. Well,
But I take the oil form. I just take the oil.
Mm-hmm. So, how do you pinpoint where you got to this wonderful frame of mind mentally? How did you? Is there a moment where you thought to yourself, you know
Okay.
what, I can't take this anymore. Things have to change. Can you pinpoint that?
Yeah. It was when I was training to be a counsellor. So mental health is one of my things as well. I'm really passionate about mental health. So it was at that time, before you can be a counsellor, you've got to look within. You have to search yourself. So it was on that journey that I realised there was quite a bit of trauma in terms of how I was treated, because I got bullied at school. I also experienced racism as well. And I was in a car accident as well. And I'm also a survivor of domestic violence as well. So all these sort of experiences had caused a lot of trauma in my body. And it was only when I dug deep and looked at the root causes and dealt with those, that's when I saw a shift, not just in my thinking, but in my body as well, because my body wasn't sensitive to the reaction of my trauma. So I was healing from within. And then with that, I added on my healthy diet. And then the two combined seems to be working. I'm not saying the drugs don't work, because I do know that steroids will help me. But in terms of the other drugs, I don't honestly think they're working. I think it's my positive outlook on life, regardless if I had lupus or not. This is how I am anyway. Because before this, I wanted to be and do athletics as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got that sort of athletic mindset where I try to reach a goal. Doesn't matter how long it takes me to reach that goal, I'm going to still focus, and I will do whatever research that I need to do to get the best by something else.
Mm-hmm. I hear that. Now I keep losing you, but I keep getting a lot of buffering with the Zoom feed. I'm not sure whether you're actually even going to be hear what I'm about to say. Just mate, your computer isn't doing any processes in the background, is it? It's not downloading anything. There's no one else in the house downloading anything.
No,
okay.
No. Now and again, I have seen it say poor connection, but my Wi-Fi is on full bar.
Okay. Well, that is definitely giving us issues. But anyway, I'll come back to you in a second. Our friends in the Netherlands, Julian and Cunny, are commenting. You would have met at Vocal Booth. Cunny also has lupus, and they do voluntary work for an organisation that collects money for research and support for the patients. Very commendable. Thank you for commenting. And Angela says again, she understands completely. She has psoriatic arthritis, which is one of the 5 spondylitis, along with lupus. Thank you for giving me all these words. And I too have avoided meds through nutrition and self-development. So this is definitely the way forward, and it is a conversation in itself, right, with regards to that positive outlook. And Angela and I talked about that ever so briefly during her journey with the NHS. So this new outlook, this new energy.
Because,
go on.
I was going to say that needs to be looked at because traditionally it's always about the sciences of treating a condition, but they never seem to look at the health benefits of, for example, counselling, therapy, in terms of looking at the body, what's deficient in the body, because even being vitamin D deficient can also be a marker for lupus, because if you're deficient, if your body's deficient, obviously there's something not working right. And in what I've experienced of going to the doctors, they seem to want to.
No, I'm losing you, Joolee. I'm not getting any of this conversation at all. I'm so sorry. Let me just wait. I'm sure everyone's.
So when I, for example, breathing techniques that calm myself down, or I don't want to have this treatment because of
See, that's my fault, because I should insist. I should insist when anybody comes and does this that they are on a wired connection. Wi-Fi is not good enough. But you know, the crazy thing is, Julie and I spend an hour every Saturday morning on Coffee Club chatting non-stop, no problems, and now we've got this issue. So I don't know. I can't work out why.
Because mine is saying full bar.
Mm-hmm. There's definitely something that's creating, because you keep dropping it on and off of Zoom.
Okay,
but I have you now. It's just I'm just going to have to. We will go through. So I really didn't get anything of the last passage of what you were saying. So feel free to go again.
I was saying, in terms of medical science, they like to focus more on the drugs, on medication. And when you say alternative therapy, or you say you want to use eating as a way of healing yourself, it's frowned upon. So I think now is the time in terms of looking at the body, that we do look at these things, because one doesn't work, or just eating healthy can work. So I think it needs to be looked at more.
Okay, yeah. Again, I lost a little bit of that, but I got the most of it. So
That's what I said.
let's talk then about, with the new energy, with the new positivity, the changes and the you know, what lies in the future for you now. You've found your voice again, quite literally, right?
Okay. Well, funny enough, well, it's not funny enough. Vocal booth has been wow, how can I put this? If it wasn't for vocal booth, it sounds like that song. If it wasn't for music, but if it wasn't for vocal booth, I wouldn't have the opportunities that I have now. So back in 2016, that's when it was. I think it was the Love Theme where Lucy was performing,
Mm-hmm.
and prior to that,
No, I'm losing you. I'm losing you. I'm going to wait for it to catch up. Okay, so listen, why don't you try going off your laptop and try dialing up Zoom on your phone?
Yeah.
Because, because it's not working on the Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's do that instead. Okay.
Yeah, you try that.
Give me 2 minutes.
While you're doing that, let me just say again, good evening to everybody that's with us. Thank you for your patience. I'm sure you're enjoying this conversation. I am going to. So if you just jump out of the Zoom on your laptop, and then I'll be waiting for you to join us. Thank you for being here. And it's a great story that we're getting from Joolee. Angela says it would be good to link up and share our learning experience. And Julian says NVLE Netherlands works together with Lupus Europe. If there's anyone that happens to be passing through, seeing the recording of this, that hasn't seen the channel before, then we have had a few other conversations along these lines. But primarily we do talk about music. We talk about some of the biggest DJs in and across Europe and some of the biggest producers as well. I've lost Joolee completely, and she's going to go in a second. So let me see. How can I kick her from this? Right. So Joolee B has entered. Hello. There's two of me. How are you? Okay. There you go. That's better. I'm just waiting for you to connect to your audio. We should have done it on the. I can hear you now. We should have done it on your phone. We should have done it on your phone from the very beginning. It looks even better anyway as well. It looks really good. There you go. So that's all good. So yes, we were talking about vocal booth, and you were saying about how it gave you a new passion. What new opportunities, or what was it?
Because I was suffering from anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter, she bought my ticket to my first ever vocal booth. I was supposed to come in 2009, but at that time I was having treatment, so I wasn't able to come. So fast forward to 2016, my daughter bought me the ticket and said, "Mom, just do it." Because at that point, I couldn't leave the house. I just found it really difficult to leave the house. So when she did that, I had no choice but to leave the house, because Spain is one of my favourite places to visit, and I love house music. So I went, had a good time, rocked up on my own. It was kind of funny because some people didn't expect me to be there on my own. But I met some lovely ladies, Janet, Natalie and Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
And then the following year, we decided to go. And that's where I met Todd Gardner, who is now my boss. So I work for Todd. I help him with his record label.
So for anyone that's not aware, tell us the name of the record label.
Certified Organic Records. And we are just like brother and sister. We have a laugh and we get work done. And in me working with Todd, he's now giving me an opportunity to make a remake of a well-known song called Rise by the Soul Providers. Jason Brooks was Todd's very, very, very good friend. And I didn't realise the connection because that's one of my favourite songs. So when Todd told me over the weekend that he wants me to do a remake of that song, obviously I was excited, but also emotional because I have a connection with that song. And unfortunately, Jason died, I think 2 years ago, or probably 3, of kidney problems. So again, there's another link. So I think me doing a remake of this song is one of the best things that can come out of me going to vocal booth. And then also as well, I'm working on another project with Debunk. We're doing a track together. So there's good things coming out of me coming to vocal booth and me having this different zest for life. Because I truly believe just because I've got lupus, that doesn't define who I am as a person. And unfortunately, some people like to put labels on you. And I'm not a label person. I'm not a box person either. I like to be outside the box. And as much time as I have left, I'm going to try, within reasons, obviously, and within my own boundaries and limitations, to live that life and live it to the best of my ability.
Well, you're definitely an inspiration to many. Just the energy that you're bringing to this conversation, and even seeing it myself, the change in you. And actually, Tim Moore, who you all know from our coffee mornings, he says, Joolee was so different between VB and Komashi's party. You are positively glowing now. And Jimmy Mack says hi. And then your sister says, I have to love, sorry, Victoria, your sister, of course. She says, I have to love my big sister. She is totally amazing person, both inside and out, never gives up on whatever she puts her mind to. She is my go-to person for anything. I love you, Sissy. That's great, isn't it?
Yeah, she called me Sissy, yeah.
And then you mention your boss, and he's here. He says, you will do it, my friend. Time is on your side. Good evening, Todd. How are you, sir?
Yeah.
So that's great. That's nice to know everyone's here and they're patiently waiting for us to get these tech issues sorted out. So during the course of this conversation, we covered a little bit of the story. Is there anything else that you thought that you wanted to discuss that we haven't been able to talk about? Because I don't think people would have ever looked at you and thought there's something wrong with that woman, you know.
Yeah. It's the unseeness of my disability in terms of you would never know how seriously sick I am. It's only when I say I've got lupus, then a conversation will take place, or maybe not, because some people don't know what lupus is or have never heard of lupus. It can create a conversation and a conversation of awareness, because in America alone, there's over 50 million people with lupus. So I don't know what the statistics are for England, but it's not as rare as what lupus used to be. It's more common than cancer.
Okay, wow. And you have to forgive my ignorance. Are there any statistics with regards to ethnicity, if that has any bearing on the drug?
Yes.
On the condition, sorry.
So lupus is more likely, it does affect men, but it's more likely to affect women. And it seems to affect women of colour.
Okay.
Whether Indian, Asian, Chinese, it's affecting more women. And it seems to affect women in their childbearing years as well. And it's also impacted on the environment as well. So if you suffered stress, trauma, I suppose anything negative, it's going to have an impact on how your immune system will defend itself against these experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And it also can be genetic as well.
I was going to ask that, and then I stopped myself from asking it because I didn't want it to seem an insensitive question. But
No,
are there any signs of it in your daughter?
no, and that's the thing. I'm out of my family. I'm the first one. It's sort of similar to rheumatoid arthritis, but then I suppose it's in the DNA where the I'm going to call it the cell is different, just slightly different. And I was also going to say it can be drug induced as well. So depending on certain medications, it can induce a lupus serum. Yeah, it can bring it on. Yeah.
Okay, so along the way when you were talking, because I think I may have lost my train of thought earlier, when you were the one challenging the medical profession and you were the one who kind of found your own path, so to speak, did anybody at any point come back to you and say, you know, we got it wrong, or we?
Oh my
whatever?
goodness, no. Actually, my lupus community nurse knew that I was mistreated, and she did say sorry on their behalf. But in terms of my consultant and the main people that were treating my lupus, no. Because that would mean they would have to then admit that that's negligence.
Yeah. Was it culpability? Is that the word, or
Yeah,
whatever?
yeah. Even though they say that when it comes to looking after a patient, it's a person-centered approach, but it's not really. Because in their training, they are trained and taught not to believe the patient. So it's one of them where if I don't stick up for myself, my voice is not heard. And obviously as well, being a woman of colour, that impacts my treatment because again, this is been found out through research, and it was recently on the news. More than likely, Black women are not listened to. We also have a high pain threshold. So when we're saying we're in pain, we're not believed. So we have all these things as a Black woman against us. So even when we do try to speak up, and I'm not saying be angry and aggressive, just say, hello, this is what's wrong with me. It's a battle. And in some cases, in terms of my treatment and my experiences, that's what's delayed in me getting better, quicker. And this is one of the reasons why I did a lot of research and decided to go down the healthy eating, get rid of certain food, because through research again and hearing stories, because I have a friend who's got a different type of disease called stiff person syndrome, and the way how she's treated, it's similar stories. So it's like in terms of we, Black women, we have to fight against this discrimination, stereotype and prejudices and biases, which at the end of the day, if we're saying something's wrong, this is what's wrong.
You should be heard.
Yeah.
So let's talk about then as we start to look at the overall picture. What is the lupus community like? Is there a strong network of? Is there because I know you said on your Instagram you have a lupus account. Are there communities on Facebook? Are there websites and societies?
Yes, there is. However, a white person with lupus and a Black person with lupus is totally different. Even though we've got lupus, support is totally different. I was actually trying to set up a lupus support group, but unfortunately, because of how I was feeling back then, it was too much. I'm still considering it because I do think more support needs to be out there, especially when it comes to being first diagnosed with lupus. That first interaction from your consultant in terms of them saying to you, you've got lupus. and that just hitting you in the face and not having nobody to talk to about it, that would have I think that benefits a lot of women.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we're not able to talk about it, first we're going to stress about it, then that will affect our lupus, which then means we've got to have more treatment. So there is a knock-on effect.
Mm-hmm. It's
so
like
I think in terms of
a vicious cycle.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
So let me ask you then about everyday life at the moment. Again, yeah. I'm kind of coming back around to myself, but you seem fantastic. Do you have bad days?
I'm having one right now.
Okay.
It's just that I've learned how to cope with it.
You've learned how to mask it. Wow.
I wouldn't even say mask it, because if you ask me, I'm going to say I feel rough.
Okay. May I dig a little deeper then and say what is it about now that you're going through?
I had 3 infections, so it's really having a knock-on effect on how my body is recovering. Okay. So at the moment, I just feel really heavy, forgetful, just not able to do, for example, keep fit physio, because I have to do physio every day just to keep my limbs mobile. I'm not able to do that at the moment because I have an infection, and I've tried to get antibiotics, and they're saying because I've already had 3 courses, I now have to wait to go and have a chest x-ray and then some more tests before they say, right, we're going to give you more antibiotics.
Wow. So the heavy, it's ongoing. And this is off the back end of that bug that you were laid up in bed with for quite a few weeks, right?
Yeah. I mean, that I've never experienced. I don't know what that was. Well, that was just, wow. The amount of mucus that I was bringing up, I'm like, where was this coming from? Considering I was in Iceland, this is what really gets me. The fact I was in one of the most coldest places in the world, I felt no pain, no joint pain. Soon as I come back to England, it was just like, whoa. Mm-hmm. So I personally think maybe I'm just allergic to England.
Yeah, that makes sense. To be fair though, when I was in Iceland, I didn't feel anything. I couldn't feel my toes. I couldn't feel my nose. Oh dear. Well, I've got to say, that beaming smile that you're putting on throughout it, I would have never known that you weren't feeling at your best. You know.
Listen, me smiling through whatever you have to go through, or turning a negative into more of a better, positive experience. That is so good for your body. Laughter is good for your body. So even though I am in pain, I'm going to think, right, what is the better alternative? I'm always looking for a better alternative. Yeah, I'll always be in pain, but there's ways of me managing my pain. There's things that I will do. And that's how I live. That's how I cope.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think giving us the a little bit of a sensational title, A New Hope, I think that you are giving everyone, anyone that comes across this, that is dealing with the same condition that you've had to deal with, and they go through the same things. Do you invite people to reach out to you? Are you open for conversation with people to offer them support?
Well, this is one of the reasons why I created the Lupus and Me account on IG and on Instagram, because I knew that me sharing my story would not only inform somebody, but it would support somebody else. Mm. And I started off with 1 follower, and I've got quite a good following. So I want to
let me change this on the screen then. So what is it at? Lupus.
Oh wow! See, this is where it's going to kick in now. Lupus _ Yeah, see, my brain's gone now.
Okay, so what's your main Instagram?
DJ Joolee B.
At DJ JOOLEE.
Yeah.
I know that. Right next to your logo on the screen. And what a
Yeah.
great logo! What a great logo it is as well. Yeah. Okay. At DJ Joolee B on Instagram, and if they go to you there, then I'm sure you'll be able to direct them to your
Yeah.
Lupus and Me account.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we can start to wrap this up now. We covered everything that we needed to. We got over the issues, and I've got to say, I was looking forward to coming into this conversation to talk with you because I'm completely blown away by how confident you were in front of the camera, because I thought I was going to detect a little bit of unease, but you're a professional, you know. You flying
Well,
high.
Auntie, I did do a radio broadcasting. I did it with your friend Ian Warham back in the
hmm
day.
I
So
do
yeah.
recall you saying. So Todd has actually come on and saved you. Where have I just put that title? Lupus _ and me.
Oh, thank
Okay.
you.
So Lupus
Thank you,
Lupus
Todd.
_ and me. There you go. I've put that on the screen. Thank you, Todd. Thank you, sir. Also, thank you, Schoolie, watching as well. He gave you a big bicep earlier. So
Like that.
like that, exactly like that. So Joolee B, we are going to see on Certified Organic Records
Yeah.
in the not too distant future. We will be maybe seeing her singing in the sunshine, quite possibly.
Actually, I am doing an event as well. Just
Okay.
before I go, it's called Things That Make You Go. It's for women of all ages, and it's going to be on the 13th of May. Secret Place in Digbeth. If you follow me on Lupus and Me, I will put a link.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I will also be sure to share that. I have a vested interest in that event myself, so we'll give that a good plug.
Thank you.
And all of the ladies will enjoy seeing you in the second city. Joolee, thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thank you
It has
for
been a
having me.
pleasure.
Thank you.
It's been great. I think we achieved everything that we set out to achieve, getting your story told, and I'm
Yeah.
sure you have gone up in everyone's estimation, if that was
Yeah, and can
possible.
I just say, kudos as well. Because, again, if it wasn't for Vocal Booth, I'm not saying certain things wouldn't have happened, but you're part of my story. So thank you.
That's nice to know. The community we are all together. I'll take that. I'll take your thanks. So respect to you. Thank you, my love. And
Thank
Cunny as well. Oh, actually, before we go, Cunny is saying, do you know the medical placanil? I'm not sure if I pronounced that right.
Yes. That's not my friend. Yeah.
No, it's not your friend at all.
Yeah, it's an anti-malaria tablet. That's what it's originally used for. But they also use that for the swollen joints part of lupus. So yeah, I do know it.
Have yourself and Cunny spoke at Vocal Booth about this? Were you aware? No. Okay. Well, you will be aware of who she is. So maybe you two can now have something even more in common to discuss next time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Joolee, I'm going to say good evening.
You.
I'm going to say goodbye to everyone. Thank you so much.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Fantastic. Okay, so we got everything sorted in the end. My congratulations go out to Joolee B, and even with the technical issues, we managed to put together a great conversation, very enlightening indeed. And I'll say again, if you just happen upon us because of the Lupus title, then do please reach out to Joolee. You can see here on the screen, next week, I am going to be talking to another radio personality. We just spoke about someone I used to work with, Mr. Ian Warman. We go back, myself, Schoolie and Ian Warman all worked together on Choice FM. Well, a gentleman who came a little later was Paul Kershaw. He is known on the trance circuit, one of the biggest trance producers out of the UK, and he was one of our DJs and presenters on Galaxy. We're also going to be talking about his sets around the world for some of the biggest organisations, as well as playing at some of the more underground clubs in Birmingham on the gay scene. Thank you to everyone for passing through and showing your support for Joolee. It was much appreciated, and I will take you to the next screen where we will be showing love to anyone who may have recently subscribed to the page. And of course, I'll be giving love to my Access crew who help make the stream possible. Thank you all, guys. Lots of love.